I just want to say again, it's so good to see all of you here. And we actually ran out of bulletins. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And no one got too upset. There was no turning over the tables or anything like that. Okay, just checking. Just checking. And no ushers were hurt, so that was good. So very grateful. So throughout the month of October, our sermons have focused on commitment. And we have talked about God's commitment to us, our commitment to Jesus Christ, our commitment to our neighbor, and now our commitment to St. Paul's. Now, back in August, we started giving out commit cards. And if you happen to have yours, first off, God bless you. But I welcome you and invite you to bring those out during the sermon today. If you would like one, our ushers have them in the back, and they will be glad to give you one. Take them home and put them in a place that you can easily find. Now, here at St. Paul's, I believe commit is composed of three different relationships. Number one, our personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Number two, our personal relationship with our neighbor. And three, our personal relationship with St. Paul's. If you are visiting today, welcome. And if you have a home church, please take the message today back with you and apply it to your congregation. If you happen to be looking for a new church home, I invite you to learn more about us here at St. Paul's, and I would love for you to be a part of the St. Paul family. We have inquiry sheets and ministry information available for you. Just reach out to me after the service, and I'll be glad to give those to you. So today, my sermon is on our personal relationship with St. Paul's. Now, if you take a moment and look at your commitment card or the pledge card that you got today, you will notice that the O in commit is a heart. I believe that commitment comes down to the heart. Is your heart into it? Are you ready to give your heart to it? Are you ready for your heart to change you? I became a comic book collector when I was 3 years old, and I saw my first Spider-Man comic. Since day one, I have been a Spider fan. My heart was in it. Besides Spider-Man, my favorite comic books were the teen books. And I read books like The Avengers, The X-Men, The Justice League. Now, here's what drew me to those books. You had superheroes with different powers coming together to fight a common foe. And then when they defeated the foe, they decided to stay together as a group, a team, a community, because there would be more foes to fight in the future, and it made sense to fight the enemy together. Their hearts were in the right place. I can still remember the scene in Avengers Endgame when Captain America, all the Avengers are there. And I still remember the feeling in the theater when he says, "Avengers, assemble." Best moment ever. That feeling of unity and togetherness for a common cause resonates with our world. And since I was little, I have always thought of the church as a team. At the church, you have different people with different gifts, different backgrounds, different stories, and who have come together to fight a common foe, the devil. And since there would be more fights with the devil in the future, it made sense for the church to fight together. So I have always been a fan of teams, and I believe Jesus is a fan as well. Our first lesson is the opening of the entire Bible. This passage, this creation story, shows two things that we as Christians need to hold on to. The first is that God and God alone created the world. Now, this was a very new thought back in ancient times because ancient civilizations worshipped nature, especially the sun. But now comes this thought, this belief, this faith that God can create through words alone. God did not need any of us to create. God may not have needed us, but God did want us. Because as the creation story unfolds, God created humanity so that we could take care of what God created. God wanted us to be a part of God's story. God wanted us to be a part of the team. God's heart was in the creation and care of the world. And God wants our hearts to be in it too. God wants us to be committed. Commitment comes down to the heart. Are you ready to give your heart to it? And are you ready for your heart to change you? When we read our gospel and the formation of the 12 disciples, let us take a moment and look at how their hearts changed them. The first four, Peter, Andrew, James, and John, their hearts changed them in that they walked away from careers to follow Jesus. But I want to talk about two disciples that we don't talk about very often, but two who I believe need our attention during this time of disharmony in our world. The first is Matthew the tax collector. Tax collectors were some of the most hated people in Jewish society. They were considered traitors because they were Jews who worked for the evil Roman government, collecting money from their Jewish brethren. They were also considered thieves because they demanded tax payments in excess of what Rome levied, and they kept the difference. In other words, they were not popular people. For those of you who've ever texted a message, and then you could see that someone has read the message, and then you're waiting for them to respond, it's that little bubble, the bubble and lines. Imagine the tax collector sending you a message, and that bubble never leaves, waiting for some kind of response. But like I said, they were not popular people, and they would not have many, if any, friends. But here is Matthew among the 12. I like to think that Jesus was Matthew's first friend. Thanks to Jesus, Matthew is now part of a team, a community, a family. Now, one who would not like the idea of Matthew the tax collector being a part of the team is Simon the Canaanite. Simon the Canaanite goes by another name in the New Testament, Simon the Zealot. The Zealots were Jewish revolutionaries who engaged in active war against the Romans. They hated and opposed all things Rome, and that would include, surprise, tax collectors. In any other part of society, a zealot would have wanted to kill a tax collector, not insult them and not hurt their feelings, kill them. And there would be a lot of people who would let them do it. So on Jesus' team, you have two people on opposite sides of the political spectrum. And Jesus wanted both of them. Now, I'm sure Simon and Matthew didn't get along, at least at first, and it would have looked really bad if somewhere along the way one of the Gospels reported Simon attacking or killing Matthew. But I believe that both Simon and Matthew were committed to Jesus because their hearts were in it. They were in it because of what Jesus offered and provided. It was greater than their own personal perspective. In our world today, in our church today, we must realize that whether we are Republican or Democrat, pro-vax or anti-vax, black or white, straight or LGBTQIA, rich or poor, American or non-American, Carolina fan, NC State fan, even Duke fan, Jesus wants us all to be on the same team. Think about this. How cool is it that Jesus wants us to be a part of his team? How awesome is it that Jesus invites us to be a part of his mission? And how wonderful is it that Jesus invites us to come together and become a family? A few weeks ago, I asked you to make a personal commitment to Jesus, and you responded wonderfully by giving your hearts to Jesus. As part of that commitment to Jesus, to be on the same team, today I invite you to give your heart to your faith family, St. Paul's Lutheran Church. Now let me share with you what happens when you give your heart to St. Paul's. Monday night feedings and feast gathering Saturday feedings, providing meals for our unsheltered brothers and sisters. The clothes closet, which is, there she is, Connie, runs the clothes closet, so dependable. And this clothes closet is providing much needed change of clothes to brothers and sisters and children in need. Community flu and vaccine events, providing access to those who are most vulnerable to viruses. Our quilters ministry, providing quilts to families around the world who use those quilts as shelter, warmth, and rest. Our prayer group, providing spiritual support for members and friends going through tough times. Mother Hubbard's Cupboard, providing food and essential items for low-income families. Family Promise, providing food and shelter to families facing homelessness and or domestic violence situations. We are also the home for Lutheran Services of Carolinas, providing a place in a group that fights human trafficking and a place in a group that helps provide safe foster care. And we have pastoral care, providing prayers, contact, love, a hand to hold. And financial giving. The giving this year at St. Paul's has been incredible. Through special gifts, we have a renovated organ, an upgrade to our sanctuary sound system, an upgrade to our security system, money to help address foundational issues with our sanctuary. We have a beautiful new wrought iron fence in our ash garden. Over $2,500 was given to the Texas Gulf Coast Synod to help churches and people who suffered from Hurricane Ida. And generous giving to the general fund has continued to help provide pastoral care to your brothers and sisters in times of need. Giving has continued to help give us music each and every week. The giving has continued to help pay for the maintenance of our campus, especially our sanctuary. And your giving has continued to donate to the North Carolina Synod. This personally affects me because you help financially support people going through seminary training, which includes me and Pastor Mark and Deacon Susan. And your generous giving to the Synod help fund mission trips, like my nephew Josh's mission trip to Jerusalem several years ago, and his seminary education. And Josh, I am proud to say, is now a pastor serving in Clemson, South Carolina. He's still a Clemson Tiger fan, but we'll pray for that later on. And the North Carolina Synod has been generous in its giving to us. They have provided financial assistance for us to pay for damage sustained after Hurricane Florence. And they have provided money for us to build in live stream and bring in tech to help our worship needs. The North Carolina Synod believes in the work of St. Paul's, and thanks to you and your hearts, we have provided real evidence to so many people that God's love is for everyone. With full hearts, we have created outdoor worship where we have offered a way for us to come together, a space and a place that visiting families have come to worship specifically because we were taking the pandemic seriously. We have also created online worship where we have offered a way for people who have not been able to attend in person for years to be able to come and see and hear St. Paul's again and to worship with us. And we have people around the city, the state, and the world watching us and connecting to God. This is what it looks like when our hearts are committed to St. Paul's. And it is with my heart that I am proud to say this. The world may have shut down, but St. Paul's never closed. We never missed a Sunday. Since the beginning, there have been people who have come together week after week to make sure that in-person and online worship can be done. At this time, I want to invite those who have helped during this time to please stand. As an usher, as tech. Where's Linda? Linda, you better stand up. Okay. Some people in the back, there you go. I know Mark's standing up, but no one can see him. He's up with the equipment. So if someone says St. Paul's was shut down, that does a disservice to the servants who gave of their hearts and worked and planned so hard to make worship possible. And we thank you for your sacrifices. Yes, there was a time that we scaled back, but now we are scaling up, and we are headed in the right direction. Since March of 2020, we have had 52 people join our church, including 24 people that have been joined or joining this morning, both at 9 and 11. People who have made the commitment to be a part of St. Paul's and who have made the commitment to continue to bring the good news to our neighbors. And this morning we launch our fall campaign for 2022, Commit. Over the past few weeks, we have passed out pledge cards and cards that we ask you to pray and think about how you can give financially to the church so that we can continue the good work that God has called us to. This year, our financial goal is $700,000 to be given to the general fund. Now, I believe we will reach this goal and exceed it because we have new people who are giving their time, talent, and treasures to make our mission possible. And we have many members who have been generous in their giving for many years to make sure that St. Paul's continues the work that began years ago. I invite you to consider giving more than you ever have as a big thank you to God for all the blessings that we have received as a congregation and as individuals. And these factors will have us reach our goal of $700,000, which will cover expenses as well as possible future expenses with our building because, well, it's 150 years old, people. It needs love and care to be around another 150 years. And that giving, in turn, makes it a place of service for Monday nights, Tuesdays, Saturdays, and, of course, Sunday morning. Our goal will also help provide support for current and future ministries like pastoral care, worship and music, evangelism. Hey, honey, your temple talk's coming right up, I promise. Youth and family. There we go. That's another one. See, that's great timing right there. Thank you. And congregational life. As you look over the Commitment 2022 cards, you are welcome to fill it out, and then as you receive communion, please place your intentions for 2022. Now, I know that location is very important, so you do not have to put a commitment card in there to get communion. Do we understand? Okay? That's an option, all right? Just spacing, right? But I ask all of you to be a part of St. Paul's family, where all means all and where everyone matters. And on that topic, I invite Mike Berg to come up and talk about St. Paul's family.
Thank you, Pastor. Good morning, everyone. Pastor Jonathan asked me to speak this morning specifically for a few minutes about church family. This came about because of a recent experience my personal family, Pat and I, had with this particular church family. Last month, Pat began experiencing some vision issues in one of her eyes. Turned out she had a macular hole, to be specific. The situation required surgery to correct the problem, and thankfully, the surgery was successful and all is well now. During the recovery process, she was staying home around the house for all the obvious recovery reasons. I was still coming to church a few days a week and on Sunday for various media ministry responsibilities. I found that I couldn't walk onto the parking lot at the 9 o'clock service, come into this building for the 11 o'clock service, come into the office during the week without somebody asking me, was the surgery successful? Did we need anything? Then there was a multitude of prayers, the emails, and the texts that I responded to. We were both overwhelmed with the love and kindness and support we received during this time from this family to our family. This set me to thinking more about families, and specifically church families, and how we, all of us, have come to be part of it. This church family was born 150 years ago by a dedicated group of people who chose to create this family under circumstances that were unquestionably difficult. Out of nothing, they created a family that continues today, They paid it forward to us. Now we are the caretakers of this family. Our family continues to grow as evidenced by the people that joined at 9 o'clock service and the people that will be joining in a few minutes here at this service. We are blessed because geography is less of an obstacle for us than it's ever been any time in history. Through our live stream system, we reach a significant number of people who are able to be in this building or who are not able to be in this building or on the church grounds for a variety of reasons. We've invested in this system to ensure all of our family could be together, without regard to distance or other obstacles. Living the words of Matthew 18:20, "For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I with them." We live that every week. A family supports each other. It loves each other. Difficulties and struggles are fought together as a family and never alone. Now we are blessed to have the opportunity to pay it forward to the generations that are to come. We do this by donating our time, our talents, and our financial contributions. These 3 actions make up a triangle that supports our family and the family of this church. This triangle supports and does justice to the visions of our founders 150 years ago. And it's what Christ commands us to do today. It ensures that this family will remain strong for generations to come. Thank you, and God bless.
And thank you, Mike. Thank you for all you do here at St. Paul's. And thank you. Thank you for listening this morning, for your attention. And when our hearts are committed to this church family, good things happen. Great things happen. Today, let us commit ourselves to St. Paul's. And today and tomorrow, let us commit ourselves to be a part of the team that Jesus has called all of us to be a part of. St. Paul's Lutheran Church, assemble. Amen.